All righty. Oh, I'm so happy to have with us today. We've got Cindy Sheahan, and Cindy Sheahan or Sheahan. Have I been mispronouncing your name all this time? I would
No,
think
it's
you would correct me if I have, right?
no, it's kind of it's just Sheehan.
It's Sheehan. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Cindy Sheahan posts from a Flashpacker. And also we've got Kimberly Ann, who is a TV producer and writer and multiple other things as well too. And we are featuring you two amazing group experts today because you guys recently moved to Portugal. And Portugal, it's all over the place. Everyone's talking about Portugal, this and Portugal that, Portugal's visa, Portugal's digital nomads. And granted, this has been brewing for a while, but it seems to have really come to a head just recently. And you folks just recently moved yourself. So I really wanted to sit down and have a chat with you and get an idea of what motivated you to move to Portugal, what exactly was the driving, because both of you are, you've traveled, and something sparked for you to, put down roots, at least for right now, in Portugal. And we also have Kia with us. And I was just asking you, Kia, where are you? Because I just mentioned to Sydney and Kimberly Ann that I had an opportunity to meet Kia in person right here in Dallas. We got together and that was very, very lovely. And I had a really fun time chatting with you in person. So I couldn't remember though, are you in Portland? I mean, not Portland, Poland now. Did you go back to Poland or are you in Boston? We still can't well, let me see if we can get you back on.
She said her mic's not working.
Okay. Okie dokie. Well, that is whatever we got there, but let us get started with, I already sort of began to introduce Cindy and Kimberly. Cindy, let's start with you. Postcards, post from a Flashpacker. One of our first questions actually is directed at you. What the heck is a Flashpacker? Okay, I know because I have studied it, but please share with the rest of the folks here as well too.
Sure. A Flashpacker is basically a backpacker, but with a little bit more money. So clearly, I'm not a 19-year-old gap year student trying to travel on $15 or $20 a day. So a Flashpacker has a little bit more money to maybe pay for a second-class train ticket instead of third class, or maybe a private room at a hostel for $22 a night rather than a room in a dorm or a bed in a dorm for $9 a night. So a Flashpacker can travel a little bit higher than a normal, backpacker that you picture slugging a backpack. I do have a backpack. I travel with a 36-liter backpack, and I go for anywhere from 3 to 5 months at a time with that backpack. But I do maybe pay a little bit more and get a nicer glass of wine than something that is, rot gut.
So it would seem, because of the fact that digital nomads beyond 50 tend to have had careers that they have, before they started being a digital nomad or whatever, do a lot of digital nomads, would they basically fit into a flash, or hopefully fit into a Flashpacker, depending on, I guess, what kind of work they've been doing? Do most of them fit into a Flashpacker category? Could that be said?
I guess, I guess it depends on your pain tolerance level. You can, if you're comfortable staying in a dorm room with 18 beds and you can get that for $6 a night, maybe that's okay with you. Or maybe if you're over 50 and you've got a little bit more money, maybe you're happy to spend, you know, $24 and get a private room, or even, you know, $16 and get a dorm with only 4 beds in it that's a little more quiet. Or maybe you're staying at an Airbnb for $40 a night. You know, I guess it depends on, again, what's your pain tolerance, what's your tolerance level. You know, I've got a lot of friends who would not travel the way I travel, and I love it because I feel like it's more down to the ground. But, you know, if you have a little bit more money and you want to stay in a hotel, that would be what a lot of people do at this age.
Great.
I guess it's a personal preference.
Okay. And so now, Kimberly, we also had a question for you from somebody who is clearly following you, or at least looked you up. Let me make sure we get you off of mute here. You're not on mute yet, right? You haven't reverted to mute. Kimberly Ann?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
You froze on my end because I have a weird.
Great. One of the first questions that came is that you are also an acupuncturist and an herbalist, in addition to combining that, or do you combine that with also being a TV producer, director, and writer? And how does that all blend together with your travel?
Well, basically, I've retired from acupuncture. So I'm no longer, I kept my license. So I'm still a licensed acupuncturist herbalist, because in California you get both licenses. And yeah, I retired. I just stopped. I got very resentful, and I wasn't able to help people. And I was a TV producer for 15 plus years, producer, director, writer, and on camera. But I don't do that anymore either. But I'm doing TikTok, so that counts.
So are you doing TikTok? Are you doing your TikToks under Kimberly Ann, or under what is, how do we follow you or check you out on
No,
you can't. If I was to go on TikTok drives me crazy. It's just, I think I get enough into a rabbit hole with Facebook and Instagram. I can't tolerate another one.
Well, so mainly right now I'm doing my writing. So I write under a pen name. And I write, I've been writing and publishing a book a month for the past 6 months. So I now have 17 books out. Novels, and so my TikToks are based on that. My travel stuff was my unknown adventure. So like Instagram, my unknown adventure, TikTok, but I don't able to monetize it, but obviously I monetize my books. So that's where my focus is.
Excellent. Well, let's continue with some of our questions, since this is a Q&A session. Let's see, we have, why Portugal? Other than, it would seem, all of the obvious reasons, because we've got amazing weather, of supposedly amazing wine, amazing food, like what else could people ask for, type situation. But for what reason did you folks in particular decide to move? You want to start with you, Kimberly Ann, and then go on to Cindy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have different reasons. So and we've talked about them in length. So my reason was, I'm a Europhile, obsessed with Europe, wanted to live here since I first came here at 9 years old, whatever it was going to take to get here. And I'd never been to Portugal before I moved here. So I found out about it. A friend of mine that where I'm staying right now, she got the D7 visa 3 years ago, but I didn't know that. So when I heard about it, I reached out to her because I knew she was here. And then I just started the wheel. So it's the least expensive country in Western Europe.
Good
And
cost of living.
and I qualify for the visa, residency visa, and then eventually I'm hoping to get my passport in 5 years, and then I can go anywhere in Europe. And then the climate is similar to California, and being on.
We had you.
And I also had a checklist of where I wanted to be in Portugal.
Okay.
But that's the quick answer.
Go okie dokie. And Cindy?
I have less romantic reasons for being here, I guess. I was just looking for something cheap, fast, and easy, and Portugal fit the bill. I had first started looking at getting my Italian passport because I qualified through heritage and lineage, and I'm still pursuing that, to be honest. But in the meantime, I saw how fast you could get from application to approval in Portugal, and it was literally a matter of months. They felt like really long months.
You were also trying to get a visa under, her as a descendant in Italy, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that to see if that can be a quicker route for me, because as Kimberly said, to qualify for the D7, it's fairly simple and it's pretty straightforward. But then you need to be here for 5 years as a resident in Portugal. And then after that time, if you choose to, you can apply for citizenship, and then that will be conferred upon you within a year or two after those 5 years. So that's a 7-year process, and it's faster than places like Italy and some other places that take a lot longer, like Spain. Yeah. So I kind of looked to that and said, okay, well, let's jump on that. It was, I think my appointment in San Francisco at the consulate office that processes it was at the end of which just gets you kind of in the door until you meet with the immigration people. And I had that appointment set up I was approved by October 5th or so. So from the end of June to October 5th is pretty damn quick,
Yeah, that is.
And it does allow, I'm pleased with Portugal. It's not like I'm not happy to be here. I love that it's one of the safest countries in the world. It's ranked, I think, number 6 in the world. Really? America is maybe 135. So
I think it's the 3rd safest. Last year it was the 3rd safest.
Okay, good to know. I couldn't remember if it was 3rd, and then I thought, maybe I better hedge and say 6th. But yeah, it's a hell of a lot safer than being in the US, and that is important to me. And the food is good, the wine is cheap, and those are important things to me too. And it's a beautiful place, and the people here are pretty darn nice.
Excellent. Now, Kimberly, you mentioned cost of living, and Cindy, you also mentioned the cost of living. What have you? I know that Kimberly is still on. You mentioned that you're on your friend's farm. Are you in Porto, Cindy?
I am.
You were in Porto. Okay.
I'm in Porto.
Now,
let me give you an example of something cheap. I just went to get a massage the other day. It was 90 minutes for $30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things that make me so happy. I'm drinking wine that was what, $2.50 a bottle.
$2 check.
And it's
Porto style.
Good.
Portugal
really
style. Oh, excellent. Now, are you still traveling around to find where you're going to put down roots there, or have you found a place that you think you're going to probably rent long-term?
To be honest, I don't know. I'm in an apartment here in Porto. It's beautiful. It's brand new. It's right where I want it to be. It's affordable. I don't know if this is where I want to stay for good. I don't know where I want to stay for good. So I'm happy where I'm at right now. It's a nice place. There's a train station at the end of my street, so I can hop on the train and go to Braga. I can go up to north, up north to Spain. It's pretty simple and inexpensive. And then I've got a whole list of different towns and villages to check out here in Portugal to see what those look like. I like Porto because it's got awesome public transportation. I mean, crazy good. And tons of restaurants, tons of bars, tons of cafes. It's just a really walkable city. It's just been really pleasurable to be here and just kind of walk out the door, and in 20 minutes I can be in a totally cool, funky neighborhood and listening to live music on the street and drinking a glass of port. So it's been pretty nice.
Wow. Wow, that sounds delightful. Now, you folks actually haven't met yet, right?
No, we did.
You did?
Kimberly and I,
Yeah,
I was able to help her get an apartment, so that's exciting. It was
Excellent.
to get my apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, through a friend of a friend here that I know, and I posted about it, and then I think Kimberly, hadn't you and I've been chatting before that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking on Facebook or whatever. Then you helped me get the apartment. Thank you. And then when Cindy got here, we all went out for dinner.
Yeah, so we went out for dinner and that was fun.
Excellent. Now, have both of you had the opportunity to see, Kaya has a question. She says, I'm curious about one area. Do you find it easier to practice? Well, it just popped up and just went away. Do you find it easier to practice Portuguese with so many English speakers moving to Portugal? Good question, Kaya.
I found, because now that I've moved around Portugal, I found that, can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay. So I found, because I've been in Lisbon, I've spent a bit of time in Lisbon, Porto, Braga, and now the Algarve. And Porto is where I found the least amount of English speakers. So I was saying 28% of the service industry and the Uber drivers spoke English.
Okay.
I haven't spent a lot of time in Porto, so Cindy might have a different take on it. Lisbon, more English speakers, like 30 to like 40%. Algarve, 90%. 90%.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Everybody.
Algarve more like, is it?
It's the south.
I guess it's more the tourist center of the coast.
It's where all the British,
coast, right?
All the British move here. There's even British markets here.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty flippin' cool here. I hate the heat, but I didn't expect to love it. I love it here.
It's beautiful.
So, it's gorgeous. Yeah. So it is really easy to practice Portuguese. It's not a problem.
I would say that, and I know Kimberly has a story about going to a bakery that she can share or not. I've shared it. And I find it really, really sweet that Portuguese people will help you as you completely screw up the language while you're trying to ask for something simple. And we have, now that we live here, we have kind of like a social security number. It's a tax ID number called a NIF. And so when you buy something, they'll say, in Portuguese, because again, like Kimberly said, here in Porto, not many people speak English. They speak a little, and I speak a little Portuguese. I go to classes, but they'll ask you for your NIF, and I can say it in Portuguese, and they're always like, okay, as I say the numbers, and then they're like, yes, and they get real excited, and they're very supportive, or they'll correct you and be like, oito. If you say oito, they're like, no, oito. And then I'll say oito, they go, yes. So they're very sweet and very forgiving. So you know what, Sheahan, it reminds me of Colombia, how the people there were so helpful and so sweet when you totally bollocksed up the words.
I was going to mention the same thing as well. It sounded so much like my experience in Colombia, and even in Ecuador, but I would have to say even more so in Colombia.
Colombia, the people couldn't be nice.
Yeah.
So I find that here too, where people are not, it's funny, my daughter's in France right now. She's like, oh my God, I'm terrified to speak, and I said, well, French people have kind of a reputation for not being very helpful in Paris with the language, where here I feel like they're very welcoming, and they're very willing to kind of help you get through it and kind of teach you a little bit along the way too. You know, like I was ordering something in a bakery, not like Kimberly's event, but you know, I was asking for something and she corrected me and told me what, I can't remember now what it was, but she corrected me and told me the correct name for the pastry. And then she had me say it, and then she said it and I said it. So it was cute, you know, so they're pretty helpful.
I call that language patience, and I literally try, that's one of my scaling factors when I'm considering places that I like and places that I want to return to. That's one that's high on my list, is how patient are they with people who are at least making the effort to speak the language, because you would
I hope
think
we
that
do
some
that,
places they're just
you
so
know?
happy that you're making the effort. But yeah, there are some
Yeah.
places, as you just mentioned, where no.
Yeah, they just,
they are not at all language patient. Right. I mean, once again, I'm sure that there are
that's
some
generalized,
people,
but yeah.
it's, you know, so that's, you know, there's a stereotype, and I'm sure there's some
Right.
people, you know, in France who are language patient. It's just that,
Yeah,
you know, in general, they've gotten that reputation, unfortunately,
right,
for good, bad, or
for
whatever.
sure.
What has surprised you the most, as well as what has disappointed you in your move so far, in your Portugal experience?
Kimberly, you want to go or should I?
Whoever's, Kimberly, you want to take?
I'll go. Yeah, so, well, first of all, I'm surprised that I flippin' love it here. I mean, I knew that I'd love it here because, again, I'm a Europhile, but you know, I'd never been to Portugal. Cindy had done a scouting trip
Oh,
prior.
I've been here 4 or 5 times.
Oh, yeah, I'm that. Okay, so there you go. So I had never been here. So, you know, I'm like, get off the plane. I'm like, where the hell, who am I? I don't know. So I am really, really surprised. I really, really love it here. And I don't know what I was expecting. I had like some weird fantasy, and it's like exceeding my like today we were walking on the cliffs over the ocean, and then we walk down the cliff and we go to a cafe on the beach. And I looked at my friend and I go, this is my life? Like, pinch me. This is crazy. Like, I just want to cry. Like every day I just want to cry. And then I've had some really bad, I had a really, really bad bus experience, really bad. And I have a dog. So it's been really, really challenging. He's really, really old and very difficult to travel with. And then I had a really bad train experience. I took the train from Porto to the Algarve. It was 9 hours, 9-hour trip. And I got the gift of COVID. So that was a really, really, really bad experience. And I thought that the trains and the buses were going to be really easy. And I took the train for the bus from Porto to Braga. It's a 45-minute drive, 35 euro. I took a Uber back. I'm like a Flashpacker plus. And you know, and the bus ride was a nightmare from hell. And it
Fast
took me,
driving, or was it the driver going very fast, or?
No, the first bus didn't show up. The second bus wouldn't let anyone on.
Oh.
The third bus didn't show up. The fourth bus, the guy wouldn't let me on because he said my dog had to be in a crate and I was holding the crate. And I did that crazy American thing where I just started throwing F-bombs and cussing and screaming. And then I actually got onto the bus saying, this is a backwards country.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, because I had been waiting for 4 hours for this bus. I had fallen flat on my face. The dog had fallen. My suitcase had fallen. It was a very bad experience. So anyway, that has been very, I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be easier. So I am actually going to buy a car.
Wow.
I'm going to buy a used car because I have the dog and I want to travel and I can't handle it. So there you go. Oh, and then the other thing that I'm really pleased with is that it's really easy to make friends here. really easy. I have a bigger social life here than I ever had in the US, and I had like 100 friends.
Okay,
But
now
people,
make friends as in you go out to dinner with each other, or make friends as in you at least recognize each other on the street type friends.
no, like Cindy, like you go out to dinner, like you
Mhm.
talk like on a regular basis. Like people here make an effort to see you and to stay in touch with you and to see how you're doing. And and there's all these like expat events, like every week there's like 2 or 3 expat events. And then even the Portuguese, like my friend here, my friend Leslie has all these Portuguese friends, and they're all just like super nice and accommodating. And I've never had that in the US. I would have to drive 2 hours to go see a friend, or an hour and a half. And then, oh, sorry, I just, my computer. And then, and then see them for an hour and then drive an hour and a half home. Nobody ever made an effort to, it's very different. It just, yeah, I don't want to complain. Okay, I'm done. Cindy?
I think now Kimberly Ann has handed the mic over to you, Cindy, for the question
Okay.
that has been surprising and what has been disappointing possibly for you. And I take into consideration that you just moved there in October. And I think Kimberly Ann, you were in September, is that correct?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
September 4th.
So you're all very, very freshly into the move. So Cindy, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
I would say what's been surprising to me is, how do I say it? So I've been traveling the world for the past 5 years and doing just fine. And I think I've had a lot of glitches here in Portugal. And I'm starting to feel like an old lady, like ordering things online and having struggles with it, having my credit card declined, having my debit card declined, having questions about the ATMs. And seriously, I mean, I've used ATMs all over the world, but I'm using the washing machine is like you need a college degree in international symbols to be able to figure out what the hell. My sister was like, I showed her a picture of the dial on the washing machine and she goes, oh, great, you can wash your butterflies. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Butterflies and leaves? Like, what does that even mean? And then you open up the little, the little instruction booklet that's in
Butterfly
English-ish.
is delicate.
Yeah.
It's delicate. Ah.
Yeah. But that kind of stuff. And when you look at it in English, it's not really even explained. It's all still the symbols. So you're expected to sort of know what these are. So just little things like that, like how the heck do you use the microwave and where is, the shut off for this? And so just the little things like that. And maybe because I'm living in a place now, instead of just floating through, and passing through after 3 days or a week or something, it's more important to figure these things out, because I'm staying here. So I have to kind of figure it out and not just shrug it off and move on. So that's been, I kind of thought that the people that I was reading about on Facebook who were having those struggles were being kind of whiny. And when I got here, I was like, okay, yep, having the struggle is real. So it's just different living somewhere. And I've never lived in a place except the US. So it's just a little bit different. Another thing that has been a real eye-opener is, I don't think we realize in the States, when you can call your bank at 3 in the morning, right? Like you could call Chase Bank and get customer service at 4:15 a.m. Here, customer service, I ordered some furniture from a place that was supposed to be delivered 3 to 4 days. It was 5 weeks. And when I tried to call customer service, they're open from 9 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. So you have to call them those times. So it's things like that as an American, I'm so used to having 24/7 everything, really, right? And here things are closed on Sundays. They close at 5 o'clock, on the weekdays. And you're like, wait, what? No, I need to buy a hammer. What do you mean this hardware store is closed? It's closed at 5 o'clock. So I was laughing and telling my boyfriend, we think we want a slower life, and we moved to Europe to get a slower life. And then when we get it, we're like, wait, what? It's a little, it takes a little bit of adjusting. You know, be careful what you ask for, but yeah, it is slower. It's Portuguese time, and people are much more laid back and not all about consumerism and all about the almighty dollar. And so if that's what you've been born and raised as, like I have, you know, it's kind of a distinct difference in lifestyle and how to kind of move forward without getting, you know, my knickers in a knot. Like I have to just be like, okay, so they're closed. All right, I'll try them in the morning.
But
know?
don't you find the customer service here is better? Like I'm shocked that I can call Vodafone and somebody answers. Like
you were saying that, yeah.
Yeah, in the US I call and you know I have the 7-hour runaround.
Press 4, press 3.
Press the button, press it. And then my bank guy, I went to get my insurance, my health insurance, and my bank guy is calling me, and everybody WhatsApps, and like the doctors are WhatsApping you, and I'm like, this is cool, like that is nice.
So
yeah, I think it's
trade-offs
probably much
here and
more
there.
personal.
So there are little trade-offs here and there, you would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Hiya, maybe your microphone is on. Is your microphone working?
she did have a question, or not a question, but a comment.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can we hear you
Okay,
now?
good. Yeah.
Because
Can you
okay,
hear me
then you
okay?
can go ahead and make your comment directly. I don't have to translate for you.
No, actually, I just want to say, yeah, first of all, thanks for having this. And, you know, number one, you know, it takes a lot of vulnerability to, you know, share your experiences, and kudos to both of you because it's only been a few months, right? And so I think I admire both of you because you're kind of taking a position of being, you know, just like really comfortable in your own skin. Like I'm more of a, you know, what do you call it again? What's that phrase you use? Flashpacker, right? So you're not afraid to, you know, admit that you want to have it a little bit nicer, a little bit more comfortable. And that's, I didn't like sleeping in hostels. I'm quite simple. I mean, I'm definitely not a flashpacker, but I really admire the two of you for, you know, talking about Kimberly, for example. Having a car is just going to be better for you, right? And listening to some of your stories about Southern Europe, I've never been to Portugal, but I used to live in Italy. And
nice.
I've lived in places in East Africa where 12-hour bus rides are the norm, you know, breakdowns, sense of timing. So I think it's very similar to what you experience in Southern Europe, even though it's Western. It's very different than what you would experience in Germany or even in Central Europe, where timing is, you know, very on par. Yeah, so it's really interesting to hear your stories. And Portugal seems like the place that everybody and their grandmother is moving to. It's so popular now. So many people I've met, you know, it's D7, D7, D7. And I love the dichotomy between Kimberly and Cindy. You have completely different stories, you know, like, but there are some parallels as well. So as far as the question, I did ask about the language because I know when you want to stay long term, most countries you actually have to have at least a B1 level, which is like lower intermediate, in order to get permanent residency. And, you know, in America, we're not really taught to learn languages unless you come from a heritage language family, you know, where maybe your parents were from Mexico or other countries where you learned a language, right? So it's very common for us to study French or Spanish or a language in high school, possibly in college, but unless you've traveled. So that's something that I've always been curious about. Yeah, so just wanted to say hello and sorry about the mic.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Those
Thanks
comments.
for that.
Yeah. Yes, I really appreciate your insight there as well too, because you were in, as you said, in Southern Europe. You experienced a lot of this in Poland, correct? Because you were there for about a year. Kaya?
Poland is completely different. Their customer service is almost non-existent. But I don't compare it to America. You know, I know a lot of people compare it to America, but I would just say in general, it doesn't exist. I do love it though in a way, because when you go shopping, you bag for yourself. It definitely gives me an appreciation for America though. With the way we hold doors, we fight to hold doors for people. Sometimes, of course, it depends what region you're in. But I think, every place you live, it's very, very easy to compare, and I think that's our natural kind of like, it's part of, there are stages, right, in settling somewhere. So it's the honeymoon phase and then the frustration phase. So I think it's very normal to just go through those stages and allow yourself. I mean, I'm really surprised both of you, it's less than 3 months. Humility, right? Both of you are, quite amazing. And
did you freeze? I think you freeze, your image freeze, but we can still hear you, Kaya. Can you hear us? Well, I'm sure she will freeze.
She'll pop back in.
Yay, you're back.
Yeah. So always remind yourself that, just leaving was amazing in its own, right? Taking that risk to go somewhere is something that half your friends will never do.
No.
So, it's all a process, and all those frustrations, I think, are the exciting part of growing as well.
Excellent, excellent. All of us are travelers here, so I think this next question is something that you can all respond to. One of was yesterday, Saturday, our Digital Nomad Beyond 50 inquiry and insight question was addressing the social isolation of nomad travel, and also, for that matter, even putting down roots in a new area. Now, Kimberly Ann, you did kind of respond to that by how, talking about how warm and welcoming the Portuguese people are, as well as apparently there is a thriving network of expats there as well too. Although I tend to run away from the expats as compared to be drawn to them. But Cindy, how have you been? Because from your own experience of 5 years of nomading, what have you done to assist you? And Kaya, we want you to input on this as well too, because you also have been doing quite a bit of traveling as well too. Let's start with you, Cindy.
I feel like I'm a big proponent of hostels. So I feel like a hostel is just one of the best places to meet people or not meet people. I mean, you can decide to partake in, the free sangria lesson on the rooftop or the free walking tour in the morning, or you can just stay in your room and close the curtain on your bunk bed, or stay in your private room and, read a book if you need to. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the social opportunities are there for you if you're traveling that way, as opposed to staying at a Marriott, where you're probably not going to meet too many people because people are kind of doing their own thing. Here in Portugal, I have been meeting up with expat women. There's a lot of women that I've met online before I moved here, who I've connected with here in person, which has been really nice and really helpful. And it's nice to kind of have a light at the end of the tunnel. People are like, oh yeah, that's a little bit tough, but here's what you can do, or did you know you can call here, or did you know about this website? So people have been really helpful and happy to take you by the hand and kind of help smooth things out. So that's been great. Like this morning, I met a friend of mine that I met here in Coimbra, and I met her for brunch. And so it's just really nice to have that connection, for sure. I know people complain about not being able to meet Portuguese people very easily, and I think it's probably difficult. And I kind of turn that around. So if I was at home in Colorado and someone from another country moved in on my block, would I necessarily reach out to them? Maybe, I would hope I would, but people are busy with their jobs and their family and their kids and sports and everything. So I think, I know Sheahan, you said you kind of run the other way from the expats. For me, it's been nice to be able to know that there are people here who've been there, done that, and can kind of pave the way for me a little bit. And so that's been really helpful.
And I guess I should clarify that I did experience some very positive interaction when I was in Medellin by joining women expats, Medellin women expats. That's what was the name of the group. And I actually got involved with that because a young woman who I had met at Blink, which was the school that you directed me to there in Medellin for the Spanish school. And we became very good friends, and we still are. She came and visited me in Ecuador, but she was a member of the group because she had moved from Vietnam to Colombia, just packed up her bags and decided to move. She'd been in Vietnam for about 4 years or 3 years teaching English and learning Vietnamese, and she decided, I think I really want to learn Spanish. And so she left, and she continued doing her her classes as well, remotely to help those that she had as students there in Vietnam. But since she was actually moving and becoming an expat, she had joined that women's group. And then she, as a part of her participation, she started a book club. And she asked me, would you like to participate, join us for the book club? And at first I was thinking, it's for expats? And I was just thinking, don't want to go. But to support her, I went, and I had a good time. And in fact, I continued going even after there was one meeting that I attended remotely from Ecuador because I enjoyed it so much. So I'm kind of stepping back a little bit from that line that I had drawn as far as engaging with expats. You can find a balance, but with making sure that you don't find yourself just in an enclave of just Americans hanging out.
No, and expats can be people from Spain, they can be people from Italy, they can be people from South America, from Brazil. So, it's not always going to be an American group. I went to an expat dinner here when I was in Portugal in May, when I was scouting for apartments, and I went to an expat dinner, and there were people from everywhere, which is so interesting because people, can I just say something about that too? Because so many people in Kaya, you might see this too, you see articles written about people moving to, and you said this, Sheahan, like Portugal, everybody's talking about Portugal right now. Portugal, Portugal, Portugal. My friend's moving there, this person's moving there. The last time I checked, and I'm talking about Americans, but the last time I checked, there were only like less than 8,000 Americans in Portugal, a country of 10 million.
Wow.
So there's no droves moving here. There's people that have been moving here more frequently and more, more verbally about it. And there's more articles about it, and there's more talk about it. And so I think that number is going to go up because people talk more about the D7, and it's become more, word of mouth kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I would not move to a country that was chock full of Americans myself. And so for me to know that there's, let's say 8,000, there might be like 1,000 in Porto, a city of, I don't know, Kimberly, how many people are in Porto? 250,000, something more? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But yeah, it's a drop in the bucket. It's not like you're going around every corner and bumping into, somebody from Dallas, for example.
Yeah. Kimberly, would you like to add?
Yeah, I wanted to add something, but I also want to give Kaya a chance. But so just say really quickly, yes, I have also gone to like an expat meetup that was all women, and there's a group, Girls Gone International. I love them. They had a huge picnic in Lisbon, and I ended up meeting, and I'm still friends with these amazing women, none of them being American. And that's cool, right? And then the other two things that I wanted to say are, so I'm in recovery. So, oh yeah, Kaya knows the Girls Gone International. I'm in recovery, so I'm in 12-step programs. And so I've been going to 12-step program, 12-step meetings here in the Algarve, and I'll just say like AA. And it's all Portuguese, Portuguese people living in, that born and raised in Portugal. And they're very, very welcoming. And that's how my friend had met a bunch of Portuguese, natives and native Portuguese people. And we were going out to dinner, with people. And it's been really, really fun. And so that's my plan when I go back to Porto, when I finally live there, is to, continue with the meetings there. And they don't have any English speaking meetings there. They have them here in the Algarve, of course. Yeah. So, and it was
How
fun.
is that going for you? I mean,
it's great. So there's literature, and I know the literature because I've been in the program for almost 15 years. And so I was reading the literature in Portuguese, and they were like, no, you don't have to, really. And I'm like, no, I want to. And they were like, whoa, you actually, like, first of all, we're really impressed that you're trying. And second of all, you're doing pretty well. Like, we're impressed that you're doing pretty well. And then the last thing I want to mention really quick is the isolation. I experienced a lot of that when I lived in the van for a year, and I did live in my van. Yeah. And lived in the van for a full year. And a big part of my isolation is I didn't have Wi-Fi, and my cell service didn't work. So, during those months, I got really depressed, and then I learned and I'd always been okay with being alone. I've been alone, unmarried for over 20 years, and living alone for over 20 years. But that level of alone, and it wasn't even lonely. I just felt like isolated, like, and it was, and then I went into it and came out of it, and yeah. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Great. Excellent. And Kaya, did you want to share a bit about social isolation, traveling solo on your own?
So yes, I'm not much of a traveler. I've worked in different places. I don't think I've actually ever really been a tourist anywhere except Belize, of all places. Most places I've gone, I know someone or I've worked. I've stayed there longer than a year or so. So I think for me, I used to have kind of an agreement with myself. If I spent more than a year somewhere, I would learn the language. I would actually learn it formally. Other places like East Africa, actually, Swahili took me there. I had already spoken it, and I've spent a long time, almost 2 years, in Tanzania. But I do know when I went to South Korea, even after 3 years, Korean is really tough, right? It's not like Portuguese or Spanish or French, or even Swahili is quite easy for me, at least. So I think as far as isolation, I was really listening to Kimberly and Cindy, and it had me thinking two levels of this, right? We have surface level friendships or connections, and we have really deep connections. And there are also two extremes in how people associate with each other. There are the people that completely run from expats, right? Sometimes from a level of entitlement. I don't want to be around these Americans. That was me in my early 20s. And then there's the other end of it, where people just want to completely be with their own people, right? So I think, once you get out of your 20s and 30s and, 40s, you start seeing that you need both, at least for me, right? There's nothing wrong with associating with your own people. I see people who, I think I'm more like Sheahan also, where I prefer to try to mix with locals, but I also know for logistics too, and for understanding, you need local people, right? Who are you going to run to when you have a problem with, like, your temporary residency permit, or when you have like just immigration issues and you just need someone? Maybe my best friend who was in Poland with me, she had been here for 6 years, but she knew everything, right? So those types of things, it's really important for me to go beyond surface level friendships. And even the term expat is something I've never identified with. I mean, in a lot of countries, they call people migrants. Expat, I think, is a term that really comes from our country, and a few others. But yeah, I don't hear that term so much, except when I'm like in an environment where people are either teaching English or digital nomads, right? So I think for me, it's really important to try to, balance out having a few really close American or foreign friends who I go to also navigate cultural, nuances. And then having some people in the country that you're in who are local, but hopefully can also speak English. And for me, it's been quite easy because I've taught English at various universities and schools all over the world. And so that's made it easy, right? I always have students who are local. Sometimes they take on your identity as an English teacher only, and it gets really annoying sometimes because you want a friendship deeper than just that surface level English teaching practice, right? Or English learning. So I think, so from both of you, it's reminded me that you do need your people, right? You need that. But also, if you can, and it's not a language barrier, it always is at some point, but if you can meet locals that help you gracefully embrace the language eventually, but can help you, also they can practice their English, they're always happy to do that. So I think, I was very naive in my 20s thinking, I'm just gonna, mix with the locals. Still extremely important to me that I need at least one or two, friends here through a church, through whatever. Sometimes there are military bases, sometimes there are, foreigner groups or American groups, people whose husbands or wives are from America. Any way that you can find that, which Kimberly and Cindy have both mentioned, they've, tried to do both. But I always try at least to, be more with the locals as much as possible.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for those tips as well too. Want to make sure that on FB or to everyone. Okay. I want to make sure that we get to some of the questions that had been submitted. Michael had asked, how often do you plan to be visiting back to the United States now that you are, living as compared to nomading away from home, that you're living in Portugal? Kimberly and Cindy, how often, or when I first saw the question, I'm delivering the question just as it was sent, but my first thought is, we're digital nomads. We have no idea. But maybe you have a comment there on that.
I just wanted to say as little as possible for me. Yeah, so I don't really have a great relationship with my family. So I don't really have like a lot of, like, it's part of the reason that I'm here is just to get away from them. And so there's not really a lot of incentive for me to go back. I was going to go back. I was planning before I got here to go back and surprise my mom in April. And now I've decided she actually doesn't know I'm living here. So that's a whole nother story and kind of
Where
fun.
does she think you are?
She knows I'm here. She just thinks
At the
I'm
grocery store.
She thinks I'm here for a couple months. I think
Ah.
Cindy knows the whole story. Anyway, yeah, it's a long story, but I've decided that I will go back next, not this January 2020, whatever this is, 2023, but January 2024, and then I will go back once a year and to see her. My sister's a world traveler as well, so she'll probably come here before I go there, and we have a good relationship. And then my best friend is going to come here and visit me, so that's all I care about.
Okay. Cindy?
Yeah, I made sure that my kids all had the ability to come and see me here in Portugal, so I didn't need to go back and see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm planning to go to Ecuador in July.
That's right.
So I will.
We had a chat about that.
Yeah, so since I'll be on the same continental space, I'll probably go to Colorado and visit friends and my kids at that point again, and that'll be probably like in June. But
are your kids planning to come and visit you? Are your kids planning to come and visit you either to Portugal or to Ecuador when it's, within the same altitude or whatever alignment?
Yeah,
it's not as far as going over to Portugal, basically.
Yeah, I've got one daughter who just landed in France this morning, and so she's coming next week with a friend to visit. for a week. And then 2 of my other kids are coming in the end of January. So that'll be good. And then, yeah, I'll head back to the States either in June or in August and catch up with everybody at that time.
Okay, excellent,
And
excellent.
then are you going to go back once a year, or do you know, Cindy?
I don't know. I mean, my only impetus to go there would be to see my kids, you know. But other than that, I've got friends who say they're going to come, so hopefully they will, and take it from there. You know, I think being a traveler for the last couple of years, I kind of lost the connection with a lot of my friends who are doing normal life, you know. So they kind of don't understand what I'm doing and have sort of lost interest. Kind of like, oh, good job. Where are you now? Oh, that's nice. So I think we sort of drifted apart that way, just because we're doing completely different things. So there's not a lot of people, you know, that I need to go back and see. So it's basically my kids.
Okay, okay. And Neil, when are you coming for, when are you coming for Thanksgiving dinner? This is why you shouldn't let your friends into your group.
They're typing in notes.
Okay. Okay, I will be there. This is Dallas, friends. I will be there for Thanksgiving. And Maya's in town, Neil.
Oh, good.
And she's gonna be coming with me as well, too. Well, we're very close to the end of our hour. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add and offer up to our members in information before, of course, since this is Portugal, I will give just a little bit of information about the life map that we have coming up, the life map retreat, as well as the CoLive Co-Work that is going to be in Portugal for digital nomads beyond 50 next May.
Nice.
So did you have anything that you wanted to add in closing?
I wrote a couple of articles and put them on my blog that talk about some of the glitches and speed bumps that you'll hit doing in the D7, some of the things that were not very clearly explained to me. And so those are on my blog if anybody wants to check that out. And just like another article that I wrote about like the 7 reasons to move to Portugal, or maybe it was 9, I forget. But just kind of outlining why Portugal is so special and kind of easy to get into and get the hang of and get the residency too. So if anybody needs information about that.
Excellent, excellent. And once again, your blog is called Post from a Flashpacker.
Yes.
And that's your Facebook group, but your blog has an unusual.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think if you just Google,
share with people if they're trying to find. I will include a link in the show notes, but you know, you can give us the name, the full name of your blog, and
to be honest, I don't know
explanation as well.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's like 𝗟𝗏47R, and then Post from a Flashpacker. I don't even know, because I always just tell people Post from a Flashpacker. But the first couple letters, it was probably not the smartest way to create a URL, but at the time I didn't know. But it's the letters and the numbers. I don't know if you know this, Kimberly. It stands for the scientific, I don't know what they call them, the call letters for the genetic gene that people who have wanderlust possess. And so not everybody in the world has this. It's like I forget if it's like 20% of humans have this gene, which actually makes us want to travel versus other people who are more content staying in one place. And so that string letters and numbers, 𝗟𝗏47, I don't know, I can't remember, is the I don't know, scientific number of that gene. So it was kind of cool. I wanted my daughter to design a tattoo. Kimberly, we can get it for you. I don't have any tats, but if I did, maybe I would.
I'm full up. I'm full.
You're full? You're good?
Room.
Okay.
Oh, okay, Kimberly Ann, do you have some comments for us in closing and
Um,
wrap things up?
yeah, I mean, I'm posting my experiences on Vela. So, and I've been a little remiss keeping up with that because I've been focusing. I have a book due to my editor at the end of this month, and then I'm taking a little break. So I'll catch up on the Vela, but I've just been posting like what I'm learning here. My latest post that I've been working on for a couple weeks is about community and how to find community. And so the one thing that I did that I guess I would add, or I always forget to add about that, is something Cindy mentioned, which is going to like the free what are those called? The free where they take you around. It's so late.
Oh,
it's
the walking
past-
tour?
Walking tours?
Yeah, the walking tour. So they have like the Sandaman is one of them, or whatever, that's one of the companies. So I used to go when because I've been traveling solo for 20 years. And I've gone all over the world, and or not all over, but anyway, whatever, a lot of places. And what I would do is I would take one of those free walking tours, like my second day or first day that
Definitely.
yeah, and I would look out for the person that I wanted to be. This is such a weird thing to even like admit to, but I would look out for the person I wanted to be friends with. More often than not, it would be a woman, a single woman. I wouldn't go for the couples, because couples are couples and they go with other couples, or friends with other couples, what I mean. There's that too, but
It's a whole nother podcast.
yeah. So I would find somebody, and every single time I made like people I'm still friends with till today. One was a guy from Australia, and we're still really good friends. So, yeah, so that is one thing that I love doing, and I haven't done that in Portugal yet because they're tourists, right? They're people that are going to only be here for a couple weeks or whatever. But yeah, I'm just, just to mention that I'm posting stuff on Vela, and that if people have any questions, I'm super pro answering questions. I have a friend of a friend who's going to be in Lisbon next week, and I'm going to be there, and she wants to do this and so we're going to hang out. And so, I like, and Cindy too, I know I'm not going to volunteer you, but Cindy's helped me so much. It's like, I think that it's nice to have like the community of like wanting to give back.
Yeah. And I can vouch for that. Cindy is very, very helpful, because I'm still thanking Cindy for her participation as one of the panelists for our 2021 virtual summit that was part of the launch of our Facebook group as well too, because that since nobody was traveling, this was a way to bring together a lot of people who were already experiencing or had already experienced digital nomad beyond, life beyond 50, and they were very generous, as in Cindy was, in sharing their experiences with the group.
From my van.
Yeah, from your van. That's right. You
At
actually
4 in
did
the morning.
your recording. You did your Q&A from the van for and you did focus. You did speak about van life and as well too. So that was great. And both of you are experts now. I mean, you were both group experts, but you also share a lot about your. Are you planning to do quite a bit or do more van travel while you're in Europe? No. Wow. Both of you, same response. Why is that?
It was a beautiful season of my life.
Van life, or just Europe and van life, or just don't mix very well?
No, I think it would be really awesome. It would, because Kimberly would know, like, how cool to be able to just drive a car to Switzerland and then head over to Austria. Everything's so close here. And I have done van life with my French guy. He's got a beautiful, nice van, and we did go through Italy and France and Switzerland in the van, and it's a great way to travel. I'm just done. Like, been there, done that, rocked it, spent well
that-
over 200 nights in the van.
Me
I see
too, and-
Kimberly
and-
nodding her head. Yes, yes. Been there,
Yeah,
done
and-
that as well too.
And
Okay.
after living in a van for a year and just fully the whole year, and now I'm back in a RV.
You
I've been
are.
here for 5 weeks in my friend's RV, and I'm so grateful to her. I need a shower. I want a shower.
You want to wash your hair? Did you? I think that's how you started all of this, right? You said you started
Well,
our
but that's-
conversation by
Yeah,
saying
but
that.
that's an unusual circumstance because she has only cold water and an outdoor shower and it's windy. So I can rinse really quickly. But in my
Mhm.
van, I had to like find showers, which is fine. It was fine for a year, but no
It's
more.
quirky and it's fun, but yeah.
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 And I'm
It's tough.
I'm heading into age 60, and I'm like, I would like to have, a hotel or an Airbnb.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I am so looking forward to meeting you guys when I am in Portugal for the Co-Live Co-Work, and hopefully you will participate.
I think I'll be here,
new
yeah.
experience for the Life Map retreat, which is specifically for explorer digital nomads, to give them an opportunity to have a retreat, focused yet fun time to build community with other people who are also creating their personal path to becoming digital nomads. And they will start the week not knowing maybe how to begin. And at the end of that week, hopefully they will have they will have a plan for maybe their first year as digital nomads, how to make that happen. And most importantly, they'll also have a community of people who each individual path is going to be very individual, very personal, but at the same time, it's still a community of people moving towards the goal of becoming digital nomads in that period of life when we are beyond 50. So, but for the Co-Live Co-Work, that's for the experienced folks. And I do hope that maybe you might come in and visit us for a couple of days while we're there, Lisbon and Porto.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining us. I really
Thank you,
appreciated
Siobhan.
it. And I can't tell you enough how much. I mean, I know it's like 8:30, and at this point, it's like 9:30 at night where you are, correct?
Yes.
Because we started about 8:30. So that's the other reason why I wanted to make sure I kind of wrap this up, because we can go on with these community chats, but I don't want to tax you any more than you already have. But thank you both, Kimberly Ann and Cindy. We really
thanks for the
appreciate you
invite.
giving your time. And we also appreciate you being group experts, and being open to answer questions that people send to you through direct message on Facebook, etc. And just really appreciate you in every possible way. Thank you. Thank you all.
Obrigada.
That's a wrap. Here we go.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks.